All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is Daily Vlog 2026, number 29. And today, I want to talk about organizing specifically. Um, so I got into my brain yesterday when I was. I think the correct medical term is freaking the fuck out. Um, which that was probably way too early in the video to say naughty things, but who cares? I guess no one's gonna see this. Um, I was thinking about D&D programs for some bizarre reason, and what I mean by that is groups that get together to play D&D on a regular basis. Um, and I can't remember if I've actually done like a full in-depth video because, fun fact, I have a rather significant amount of experience running D&D programs. I ran a D&D program at my friendly local game store that literally got so big that they had to buy extra space to fit us. Um, I used to help run, I think I did it for like 3 or 4 years. I used to actually help run a local convention specifically. I started off just running their D&D program, and eventually they put me in charge of all of their organized play programs, which for the most part was me running the D&D program and then also talking to the dude that was running the Pathfinder. What's the Pathfinder organized play program called? Pathfinder something. Um, so basically, it was me also talking to the person that was running the Pathfinder program, and then the Shadowrun missions program, the person that was supposed to be leading it, ghosting me for like 4 months. Um, so I don't have as much experience running a Pathfinder program, and the fuck, apparently just fuck Shadowrun missions. Even though I actually like Shadowrun, I think it's an interesting system. I think there's far too many dice. And this is someone that loves dice, but holy crap. Shadowrun, depending on what you're rolling, like you might be rolling 20 dice. And if you're my buddy DK, you will still only get one success on 20 rolls. So, um, and then in addition to that stuff, again, I have my background in retail management. And I have a degree in marketing management, which is a combination marketing degree and project management degree. So I kind of understand this stuff pretty well. Um, and because of everything going on, and when I say everything going on, I'm not talking about everything going on that we're not going to mention here because this is my escape from the shit-tastic world that exists. What I'm talking about is Draw Steel is huge and getting bigger. Twilight Sword was a huge success. Fabula Ultima had a huge successful Kickstarter. Break just sent out an email claiming that their next book is on its way. Sword World 2.5 has their Kickstarter, I think, in April or May. Daggerheart's new book comes out this summer. We are surrounded by just tons and tons of TTRPGs that are doing awesome, amazing things. And one of the things that I would really, really like to see happen more is for D&D programs to start showing up. Now, With all the different programs that I've run, I have also failed to get one running. And by failed, I mean it actually worked for a little bit, and then I took a step back to let those people run it, and I didn't leave the structure necessary for it to continue, and it died. So, I have also experienced failure, which, as I've mentioned before, failure is the best teacher. So I am now an expert on this. But I would really love, and not just D&D programs. I would love to. I would love to see just generic TTRPG programs popping up where they play different games. I'd love to see, Daggerheart programs showing up, and Break programs, and Fabula Ultima programs. Whatever your game is, I'd love to see these programs started up. And they don't have to be done at a game store or at a library or somewhere physical. Though I will admit there are benefits to it, which we'll talk about when we get into specifics of what you need to do to set one of these things up. But I'm just as interested in seeing your friendly local game store, because here's a fun fact, folks. The reason that game stores have like tables where you can play games at is because it makes them money. And not because, well, we're going to charge you for a table. No, I would say probably the majority, not the vast majority, but more than 50% of stores that charge for their tables are doing it for the wrong reasons, and are slow, and their store is slowly dying, and they're doing anything they can to try and scrape together money. It's for the most part, it tends to be a bad idea to charge players for tables, because what they're doing for you is they're creating free advertisement. Basically, if you come in, you see a bunch of people having fun in the store, that subconsciously tells you, oh, this is a fun place, and any money I spend here is going to make me feel good. Also, get a food license for your store. Not like prepared food or anything like that, but just get a license so that you can sell soda and chips, because you'll make a fortune off of it. That's how movie theaters make their money. It's one of the reasons why their movie concessions are so expensive. But you don't have to go the movie theater route since you have other sources of income. But selling chips and soda is a fantastic way to make every cent back from any sort of issue. But like I said, so I like seeing gaming clubs and stuff like that start up in friendly local game stores, because it helps small businesses. It does a lot of good things. But I also want to see like streaming communities start up their own TTRPG program, because it's actually not that difficult. You just have to follow a few kind of guidelines. I'd love to see fan communities, like, let's say you belong to this really awesome Firefly / Serenity fan community. Well, wouldn't you like to, play with these people? Maybe, find a system. Like, there is a Firefly TTRPG. I believe it's out of print now, but I've played it, and it's interesting. And then there's just a bunch of other TTRPGs that you can use to play Firefly. You belong to a really awesome Supernatural community. Like Supernatural is almost a TTRPG already. Or a Buffy community, or, a comic, a Wolverine appreciation page. Like, any of these places can be large enough that you can run your own TTRPG, club effectively. And I think that's what I'm going to call it going forward, just because club is an easy word to say. So, yeah. And one day I'd love this community, once it gets a little bit bigger, I'd love this community to have a TTRPG club that, we get together regularly and we get to play TTRPGs and have fun and explore new things and become more empathetic, because that's another fun thing that people don't realize. TTRPGs, they've done studies. I think they specifically studied kids, so I have no idea if this works on adults or not. But kids that play TTRPGs when they're young tend to rank higher when they're able to measure for empathy. For anyone that doesn't know, empathy is the difference between good people and bad people, effectively. Empathy is your ability to understand, oh, I'm not the only person in the world that matters. Maybe I should do things that don't exclusively benefit me over the detriment of literally everybody else. And unfortunately, we have an entire generation, it's looking like, that may have never actually learned that idea. Or learned it in the wrong way to the point where they now have toxic empathy, where they were literally damaged themselves in order to help someone that they perceive as needing help when they don't really need it. And they're just making the world a worse place. So that's something that a lot of people never really realize is a thing. It's something that I struggled with when I was younger. Is the idea of caring so much about other people that you kind of forget to care about yourself, and you end up like doing serious damage to yourself, either physically or mentally or both. So anyway, that's a real dark subject. I want to talk about what do you need to do to start your own TTRPG gaming club. Let's make this formalized by drinking before I do everything. The first thing you need is a group. You know, you need to have a community in general. Depending on where you're going to be doing this, if you're going to be doing it in a friendly local game store, you can probably start with maybe like half a dozen to a dozen people that are interested. And I'm going to kind of make a distinction between people that are interested and people that are participating. And you need to gauge both groups. So people are participating, fairly obvious. These are the people that are actually showing up to games. People that are interested are members of the group that are actively at least looking at the posts and things like that. They are being introduced to the ideas, but they're not playing. The interested group, bare minimum, needs, like I said, at least half a dozen to a dozen people need to be interested. The reason why is nobody is going to be able to make, or very, very few people are going to be able to make every single game. And the lifeblood of these groups is that they become sustained. They happen every single week or every single month or whatever your timeline you decide on, but they need to be regular. They need to be scheduled. They need to keep happening. In order for that to happen, you have to have enough players to actually play. My basic rule of thumb, I've stolen directly from the D&D Adventurers League, because that was my first experience with organized play and D&D clubs and stuff like that. Bare minimum, I need 3 people playing in order for me to run a game. So in order for a game to run, in my book, there needs to be a minimum of 4 people. 1 GM, 3 players. So in order to be able to get that regularly enough so that the thing is meeting regularly, generally you should have, just like I say when I'm talking about game design, somewhere between double to triple the number of people that you need in order to run. So if you need 1 GM, 3 players, your GM can be, you can have only one GM at first. It won't last long. But you can have only 1 GM at first if they're the person that's running it. But for 3 people, we'll double that. That makes 6. So roughly about 7 people minimum to start that are interested. Again, not actively playing, but interested. And then to be in a really, really good spot, having up to a dozen minimum is going to give you the best chance of it happening. So start off, you need to find enough interested people. Well, how do you find out if people are interested? Well, you ask them. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do it. When I was helping set up my my buddy's group, he streams. His streaming community wanted to start playing TTRPGs with each other. And so literally, I just said, I can organize this. And he went, really? I said, yeah, I've done it many times before. He's like, okay, we'll go for it. And so I said, well, what I need you to do is I need you to advertise it on stream. He's like, yep, done, easy. So it was as simple as he just said, hey, we're going to start up a D&D thing. So if you're interested in playing, go to the Discord server. There's going to be a specific channel. Just say something in there. And then we'll know that we have enough people to do it. We're going to talk about Discords in a little bit here. They're very, 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 very useful. So how do you find out? Advertise it in some way, shape, or form. If it's going to be at a friendly local game store, put up signs. Talk to the game store first. If the game store is very, very against you starting up a D&D group or a whatever group there for TTRPGs, maybe find a different game store, because when I see game stores that are against people coming into their store, it generally means that there's something wrong with their management. Either you have a manager that's exceptionally controlling or just doesn't understand how business works and is an asshole. Like I said, the vast majority of them are going to be, you want to start playing D&D? Yeah, of course. And then quietly recommend that they find out what it'll take to get them a concession license so that they can sell chips and soda to the D&D players. So if you're at a game store, advertise it there. Put up signs. Tell the staff to mention the things. If you really want to get crazy, you can even talk to them on going, hey, what if, to kind of celebrate this is the start of this, what if we ran like a dice sale or something like that, like 10% off Chessex dice or something like that. Chessex are already relatively cheap, so it's not going to be a huge markdown. Things like that. But you do want to advertise it in some way. If you're not going that route, then wherever you are finding these people, you need to advertise it in some way, shape, or form. If it's a Facebook page, a fan page, a Discord community, first of all, talk to the people in charge. You never, ever, ever, ever want to piss off the people that are moderating or running one of these kind of fan sites or things like that. Because first things first, it's a great way for you to get kicked out. Second things, there is a correlation between people that become moderators on things like Reddit or Discord and things like that, and people that have control issues, that feel like they deserve to have more power than they have. I'm not saying that every single person that does this, I'm not trying to say that all mods are just power hungry. No. I would say probably the majority of people that do moderation in various places, whether it's Twitch channels or Discords or whatever, are just really dedicated, awesome people. I know quite a few of them. However, that being said, you're always going to find at least one person that's just wants their sword so that they can use it to beat people with. And if you piss off the wrong person, they can get the actually good people in there convinced that you're a bad person and get you thrown out of it. So always, 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 always talk to whomever is in charge and go, hey, I want to do this thing. Make sure they're okay with it. You can mention to them that you are going to be running it, or you will have a team running it, so that it's not going to require additional moderation or anything like that. They just, we're using this as a place to organize. So yeah, you need to find a group. It needs to be bare minimum. You need to have anywhere between a little over half a dozen to a dozen people that are interested. And you need to advertise it. That is the group. Step 1, find your group. All right? Moving on. Step 2, you need a schedule. I've mentioned this a few other times on this channel, but if you want your D&D games or your Pathfinder games or your Daggerheart games to run, you want to get away from the dreaded scheduling monster, where you never get to play because nobody's free, then your games need to happen on a schedule. And I mean that in two different ways. One, there needs to be a specific date and time that your games happen. That doesn't mean that you can't play on other times, or that, if people can't make it on that night for some odd reason, that you can kick them out. Again, the reason that we have double to triple the number of people that we need to be able to play is so that people don't have to be there every single night and the games will still happen. But in order for a TTRPG club to work, it has to have a schedule. Pick a night. What I did when I was helping to set up my buddy's program is somebody actually went out and created a Google document that just said, what times are you free? And then they collated all that data. I don't know if the Google Doc did it automatically or they actually went through the process of actually putting in all the dates and times and everything. But what they were able to give me was just basically a map that showed when the most people were available. And I picked two time periods because his particular audience is international. We have US-based fans, and then we had a fairly decent amount of European-based fans. And because of that, times that work well for US-based audiences tend to be like in the middle of the night or the middle of the day for UK-based audiences. And during the weekday especially, neither of those two times are ever going to work. So for that particular one, we picked two different times. But it was very specific. We will be playing from this time to this time on this particular date. It is a very, very good idea since, again, step one, we went and I found our group. Step two is we get availability from the group so we can create the schedule. So one of the pitfalls that I see happen all the time with scheduling, and this is not just exclusively a TTRPG thing. This is a business thing. There are a lot of managers that never quite figure this one out, or to be perfectly honest, it's actually not as big a problem in sales because if you don't figure this one out, you don't last in sales. Here's the thing with scheduling. If you are trying to set up a meeting with another person, this is the exact route you want to go. You start off first, hey, introduce myself to you. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with you about this thing. What would be a good time for you? When they give a response, and sometimes that response is, oh, I'm available, weekdays after 7, or, I'm only available every other Saturday at 3, or sometimes it's like, I'm just not available for the next month. The next thing you say is, okay, how does this specific time work? And that's where a lot of people tend to get tripped up, because what they will do is they will go, when are you free? It's like, I'm free in this wide area. And go, well, I'm free in this wide area. What would be the best time for you? And they go, well, I'm not sure. Maybe over here. Oh, but maybe over here. Nope. You ask for their availability once. And then you tell them, this is the date and time I would like to do it. What that does is that it removes all the ambiguity. It removes all of the, I don't know, well, maybe is it? It's very, very simple for them to either go, yes, I can do that, or no, I can't. And if they say no, go, okay, well, what about this time? You pick another time that was technically open for them. If you get two no's for very specific times that they already said were opened, there's a good chance that something else is going on, and that's an entirely different thing that you got to deal with. But this is how you make meetings. This is how I got most of my jobs. I would call up after submitting a resume. I would call them up and go, hey, can I talk to the manager that's in charge of hiring? Hi, my name is TJ. I submitted an application at this, at this time on this date. Have you had a chance to look it over yet? It doesn't matter what they say at this point. Whether they go, yeah, I looked it over, or no, I haven't had a chance to. I go, well, I would love to sit down and have a conversation about it with you and about any open positions you guys have. How does this time work for you? If you don't, if it's just like, well, I'm available whenever, so just you tell me when you want me to come in. It sounds like you're being accommodating. You're not. You're making their lives harder. Just, this is the date. This is the time. This is when I want to do it. You'll have a significantly higher chance of actually getting that meeting. And going back to TTRPGs, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to ask people for availability, and we're not going to worry about finding a time that absolutely everybody that was interested is available. And the reason why is this. When you ask people, well, when are you available? 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you when they would like to play, when it would be the best for them to play, not when they can play. It still gives you a very good idea of kind of where you want to go. But I will guarantee you there will be people that will claim that they can't play this night, and as soon as the night is set, they will find a way to be able to play on that night. This is not being mean. This is not manipulating people. This is just how people's brains work. So ask them, hey, just a rough idea. What are times that you guys are available to play? This is probably the most labor-intensive part of setting the things up. Because a lot of the other stuff, the work has been done. You can just steal from other groups. This, you actually have to sit down and write down when people are available. Again, there's programs you can use that will help you deal with this. Most of them are schedule making programs, things like QuickBooks and stuff like that. Because this is a real problem in retail specifically. And so we have lots and lots of tools to deal with it. But yes, it does take a little bit of work to sit there and go, okay, well, it looks like most people are free on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings. Okay, then that's what we're going to do. So, now we need to make our schedule. And again, instead of asking people, okay, could you, what about this? You give them definitive. All right, our first game is going to be this date, this time. Oh, well, I can't make that one. That's perfectly fine. This needs to start. As it gains momentum, we will get more people interested, which means more opportunities to play. We might start up other nights, additional tables, the things like that. Again, if everybody that was interested all came on that first night, bare minimum, you would need 2, maybe even 3 DMs to split up 12 different people. You're probably not going to have that many. If you're lucky, you will have 1 DM for your club when it starts. We will talk about that next. So pick a time. And again, if you're organizing this, more likely than not, you are going to be the first game master. Congratulations. Does this mean you are always going to be a game master? Technically, no. But take it from someone that has done this a lot. I'm still the game master. I have been for 13 or 14 years. That's how it goes. I enjoy it, so it's not that big a deal. If you really want a gaming club, a TTRPG club, but you don't want to be the game master, you should probably find a game master as part of step 1. Because you're going to need someone to run the games at first, and they're probably going to be the only game master for a little bit. So, anyway, pick a date and pick a time. Say, this is when it's going to be. Also, what I have seen tends to work the best, bare minimum, you should give at least 2 weeks. Don't go, well, since everybody's available this Wednesday, our first game is going to be in 2 days. Nope, people aren't going to show up. give them a minimum of 2 weeks for the first session. Depending on how things are going and everything like that, you might want to go a little bit further. I would say never schedule out further than a month, because then people forget about it. So somewhere between minimum 2 weeks, maximum 4 weeks. And do that. And then designate, after you have that first session and kind of get where people are, designate, okay, we are going to play every Wednesday night, every other Wednesday night, once a month on Wednesday nights. It needs to be a regularly scheduled thing. So that first one is going to be, we're going to see how this works. And as long as the game happens, doesn't have to be good, it just has to happen. As long as the game happens, that night is now solidified. We are playing this night. The reason why we are playing this night is we have already proven it can happen. Every other night that people are quote unquote available, we've never proven that that's a real thing. Because as much as they may claim they're available, well, I just want to stay in tonight. Or, you know what, the dog got sick. No, we know that this can and did happen, so this is the night we're doing it. Can it expand to later nights? Can it change nights later on? Technically, yes. But right now, when we're starting the group, this is the night, this is the time that it's happening, and it's happening on a regular schedule. The more often it happens, the easier it's going to be to get people to play. If you want to start a once-a-month D&D game, or Pathfinder game, or whatever you want to play, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be more difficult to get people regularly coming, because a month is a surprisingly long time in TTRPG, and it's long enough for people to come up with different priorities. Every other week tends to work relatively well. Every week works better. And the more times you play, the more hype will build about it. The more people will get interested, the more you can start staggering the things. So if you can, I generally recommend minimum every other week. And set a specific time period where we go, okay, for the next 3 months, we're going to play every other week. Or for the next 2 months, we're playing every week. And at the end of that, we'll see where everything is, see if we need to change the schedule at all. But for right now, every week, every other week, this is what's happening. It's this particular to the time. Well, can we switch it to like Wednesday next week? Nope. Can we switch it to Thursday next week? Nope. Can we switch it to Saturday morning next? Nope. If you also want to play at that time, that is perfectly fine. However, this group is meeting on this particular day. Once you start getting wishy-washy about the day, it's no longer a set thing. It's no longer something that has like a space reserved in people's brains. They need to know every Wednesday, every Thursday, whatever day you decide to do it, is D&D day. And they can either decide to be a part of that or decide not to be a part of that. But if it's like, oh, every so often we play D&D, well, then no one's going to commit. And I've seen so many different groups just fall to the wayside because there's no definitive time, or you just spend far too much time between games that everyone just is no longer cares about their characters and the things like that. So, yeah. So step 2, scheduling. Moving on. Step 3, you need some rules. Luckily enough, there's enough stuff out there that exists for rules that you probably won't have to make this up on your own. The group that I started for my streamer buddy, we literally stole the D&D Adventures League's rules with some minor changes because they were stupid things that were never fun. What I mean by rules is you need, in order for something like this to work, because this is not going to be a single, party that's going on adventures, you're basically creating your own kind of West Marches campaign thing. It's not really going to be a West Marches unless that's what you want, but the people that are playing at any given week, at any given time, are going to be different. So in order for things to have kind of a resemblance to structure, there needs to be rules about how things work. Specifically, we need character creation rules. Now, most TTRPGs have character creation rules built into them. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to tell you this right now. Rolling for stats is a bad idea. But that's how that's how you really play D&D. I really don't give a flying fuck. It's a bad idea. And the reason why is there's nothing stopping someone from cheating and coming to a game with a level 1 character that has a 20, two 18s, two 16s, and a 15. And second, it's possible to actually roll those numbers. From a statistical standpoint, it's actually possible to have a character that can be created like that. And if there's nothing stopping anyone from cheating, then everyone's going to just assume that this person cheated when they created their character. And it's going to get a bad vibe through the entire group. Well, I have it different because I just have them roll in front of me so that there's no way that they can cheat. Well, then you're effectively forcing an additional process that, depending on how you are doing it, might not actually be feasible. If you have an in-game game store, well, great. That means that part of your sessions every single time there's a new character is you actually have to stop the game and go, okay, I need you to roll your dice in front of me so that I can ensure that you are not cheating, so that you can start making your character. It's just a lot of problems that don't need to be there. So use point-buy systems, use standard arrays, anything that doesn't involve rolling. It's just easier. It means that you can just tell someone that's interested, by the way, if you want to play, you just need to create a first level character using the point buy system on this, or this is the point buy system that we use. Here's a document. It means that the player themselves can spend their time before they get there building a character. It also means when people do show up and they don't have a character sheet, which is technically a good thing. That means people are so interested in this that they have come to your club without any prep. They've just gone, this looks so much fun. I want to be a part of this. I don't care what work I have to do. I want to be a part of this. That's a good thing. That is not a, well, you're too lazy to do the, nope. They're so excited that they want to be a part of that. You want that. That's a very good thing. Using point buys or standard arrays means that building characters is significantly faster. You don't have to worry about rolling. You don't have to worry about that. You just basically go, okay, what do you want to play? Okay, we'll do this. We have your character sheet. Now go ahead and sit down at the table. We will teach you everything that else you need to know as we play. Very simple, very easy, very fun. All right. So, how do I get these rules? And that also will include things like, whether or not you're going to allow third-party materials. If you're using a system that has a significant amount of rules bloat, like 5.0 D&D is a really good example. There's a lot there. Or Pathfinder First Edition. I don't know if Second Edition has hit the rules bloat yet. They were on their way a few years ago, but I don't know if they've gotten to the point where it's like, ugh. But First Edition is nonsense levels of crazy. By the way, 3.5 had the exact same problem. 4th Edition had the exact same problem. So that will be part of your rules. You will have character creation rules, which includes how you get your attributes. You will also need to figure out if you want to limit any character options. And here is my personal rule about limiting character options. If your GM is experienced, and by experienced I mean has run a significant number of games with different people, not has run for 10 years for the same 4 people, that's not experienced. That just means that they've done the same thing over and over and over again, but this is a whole new situation dealing with random people showing up at your table. If they're experienced, feel free to allow more varied rules and things like that. If they're new or relatively new or have only played for like 1 or 2 groups or something like that, limit your rules. A great way to start a TTRPG group, if your chosen TTRPG has a lot of rules bloat, is to start with, okay, for the first couple months, we are going to limit the game to just the core rulebook. That gives everybody a chance to learn the system together. Will that get some people upset? She's like, well, no, because I wanted to do this really cool subclass that shows up in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. It allows me to do this. It's absolutely fantastic. We're not there yet. One of my rules for training is begin at the beginning and remember to keep it simple, stupid. Start simple, add complexity as you go on. And it's the same about these. So part of your rules, you have to have character creation. You also need to figure out what is going to be allowed and what is not as far as rule sources. Then the third thing you need to worry about, depending on your system, is the idea of magic items. Different systems treat these differently. In D&D, there are certain magic items that are absolutely game breaking. I'm looking at you, Deck of Many Things. And there's some people who will create an entire build around access to certain magic items that allow them to do things. And different systems have different relationships with magic items. So there should be something taken into account of, okay, we're going to start off with these books available for character creation, and then magic items are going to be limited to what you find in the adventures, or you can purchase these particular magic items. Again, there are many resources that you can use for this. And again, depending on the system, there might already be a system in place that allows you to kind of limit things like that. Or you might have to do it yourself. Again, there just needs to be some kind of rules around that. The one that tends to be the easiest is you only get the magic items that you find in the adventures. And the reason that's the easiest is that means that the GMs have exclusive control over what magic items are introduced to the game. We will talk about adventures and stuff like that in a little bit, but this is going to be part of your core rules. Yeah, something about that. And again, different systems are different. Some of them you can just not use magic items at all, and other ones you have to have magic items or else you can't play higher level or even mid-level content. So this would be something that will require a little bit of work, but it's not really difficult. And if all else fails, just remember, this is you starting the gaming club. As it gets going, as you have more time to put people in to help run it, you can get more complex. But starting at the beginning, stick to the basics. The final thing you need, as far as your rules are concerned, you need a conflict resolution written into the rules. Things like what are they called? I can't remember them anymore. Safety features. What I mean by that is basically these are topics that won't come up in games. These are topics that might come up in games. These are topics that will come up in games. If you have any issues with these, just let one of the leaders know, and we can figure it out. Basic rule of thumb, if you need kind of like a place to start, sex and naughty times doesn't happen in your gaming group, especially if your gaming group is open to anyone that is not of legal age. I'm not against getting kids into TTRPGs. I am very against bombarding kids with adult themes that they're not ready to deal with. So if there is any possibility whatsoever that kids might be involved, whether it's through actually playing or one of the players has kids that might be sitting next to them while they're doing it, sex, naughty bits, stuff like that doesn't exist in your games. And any hint to that is a cut to black, and we don't reference it. But I want it. Doesn't matter. Do it at your home game. Don't do it as part of the gaming club. It will rip it apart. So that stuff, just it's how it's going to be. Violence and the things like that. Gauge it with your players. It is very, very easy to tone down or increase the violence depending on your players' interests. If your players are not a big fan about you describing how, the fighter comes forward and he brings his longsword up, the orc brings his axe down and the fighter deflects it out of the way, brings his sword around, goes shunk, and floop, bloop, bloop, bloop. The orc's head flies off and plops along the ground as his viscera spills out of his body. That's something that your players enjoy, then you can do that. At the exact same time, that exact same interaction can be, the fighter runs up, the orc brings his axe up, the fighter deflects it out of the way, and in one quick attack is able to take the orc out. No description of violence or anything. It has the exact same effect, and it still feels very cinematic and very powerful. Just one was directed by Rob Zombie, and the other one was directed by Mr. Rogers. So, actually, Mr. Rogers would have gone, and as the fighter goes up, and he says, "What are you feeling? And what do you do with those feelings? Have you ever had a feeling so strong that you didn't think that you could deal with it? How did you deal with that? Did you punch a pillow? Okay, enough with that. I love Mr. Rogers, by the way. So, make sure that you actually put that in your rules document, because what that's going to tell other players is this is not something that we didn't think about. This is not something that we're just going to deal with whenever it is. This is something that we've actually put work into to make sure that everybody gets to have fun. The third thing, allusions to the real world. I mentioned before, we are not talking about the real world here because this is my escape from the nonsense that is reality. But there are a lot of real world allusions that happen in video games. And if anyone's unfamiliar with the word, that is allusion, not illusion. Allusion is a reference to something else. Whether we're talking about the idea of slavery or forced servitude or things like that, some people do not want to have to deal with that for a number of reasons. The idea of things like putting, young people in danger in the games can be something that people just don't want to deal with because they've actually experienced it. I'm going to let you guys know this right now. Talking about and even viewing videos of violence against various groups is not the same as living through it. It will never be the same. I don't care how much you've studied. I don't care how many people you've talked to. Experiencing it is a very, very different thing. So, so those might be things that you want to say, we're not going to deal with, maybe ideas of immigration. Not to say anyone is right, wrong, or anywhere in between, but anything that is currently a hot button topic in the real world has a chance to bleed over into your fantasy, and it's just going to make people upset. That's not to say, again, I've played games with slavery and abuse and other things like that. I've never actually experienced slavery. I am an abuse survivor, multiple different kinds. There are situations where it's really therapeutic to be able to, triumph over something that you yourself has experienced. It's not something for a gaming group. So the basic rule of thumb that I tend to use is the real world doesn't exist while we're playing this game, and anyone that tries to bring in uh, that will get a warning or something like that. And if you continue to do that, other things will happen. So, yeah, so you need some sort of safety mechanisms. And then, again, the idea of conflict resolution. Have something to do, something specifically written down somewhere going, by the way, if there are policy violations, and there, I guess we should also talk about, things like you don't get to attack other members. I know it sounds really, really stupid, but you got to say it for some people. And I realize the idea of, well, anyone that doesn't understand that physical violence against someone over a game is not okay. I don't want it at my table anyways. You say that, but surprisingly enough, people that don't quite understand that idea don't advertise it until it's too late. And then if you don't have a rule for it, they're going to try and rules lawyer you, which is just going to make your life miserable. So having things like, hey, if you're doing it in person, hey, physically encroaching on anyone for any reason whatsoever that they don't want is a no-no, and it can get you immediately kicked out of this group. Other things like, hey, making, jokes that offend people, just a no-go, focusing on other characters, all that really boring stuff, put it in writing somewhere just so people are aware, hey, by the way, this is stuff that's not acceptable. And once you have that list, you also need to have punishments for what are the results if you break any of these things. Things like, hey, you get a warning. If we have to warn you multiple times, then something else. The easiest thing in the world to do is work on a baseball system. Basically, it's okay. You break one of these rules, you get a warning. 3 warnings, and you are gone. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's very. It allows for people that don't really weren't intending to break a rule in any way, shape, or form. It allows them to accidentally break a rule, get a warning, and realize, okay, we don't want to do that without instantly, going out there. If you want to add an additional step, 3 strikes, you get a suspension for so long, and then if it happens again, then you're officially out. But some sort of rules about, hey, this is how we deal with that. Again, there's a very, very good chance you're not going to have to deal with any of this rules enforcement stuff. When you set it up correctly and you're doing it with like-minded people, in general, you're really not going to have to worry about that. But when you do, if your group grows to a size that people are starting to join that you don't know exceptionally well, there's a chance you're going to have to deal with this, and having those rules in place already is just going to make everything easier. Again, don't create these rules with the idea that, okay, we're going to have a Google document that everyone can look at that will show everybody's everybody's warnings and specifically what it was, and we're going to have these forms that you have to fill out every single day. No, that's corporate America bullshit, and that's done specifically to cover their asses in the case of a lawsuit. We're not really going to be doing that, so it doesn't need to be really crazy or anything like that. Somebody somewhere should keep track of who's gotten warnings and who hasn't. And you may even want to put in a time frame, warnings drop off after 6 months or something like that. Whatever you want to do, but it doesn't need to be complex, but it doesn't need to exist. So, yeah, so that's, the rules portion of everything. Moving on. Number 5. You got to get somebody to run this shit. This was the problem that I personally believe tanked the program that I set up for my streamer buddy. Somebody has to run shit. And as crazy as this sounds, it in a perfect world, it's not the GMs that are running it. Again, if you're starting this up on your own, you're probably going to have to wear multiple hats for a little while. You're going to have to run the thing. You're probably going to have to be the GM. You're probably going to have to be the disciplinarian. You're probably going to have to be the person that works with this store and, you know, confers with them whenever you guys want to do something special. It's a lot of hats. It's a lot of work. It's worth it. It really, really is. And when you set it up effectively, it becomes significantly easier the longer it goes on. Trust me on this. But effectively, you do need to have someone that is organizing this. What I mean by that is this is a person that, okay, remember way back earlier where we say, no, step 2, schedule it. We have a schedule. Well, the organizer is the one ensuring that everything is set up to actually meet that schedule. So they're confirming with Dungeon Masters, hey, do you have an adventure prepared for Tuesday? You're running your game, correct? Yes, I am. Okay, as of right now, you know, we have 3 people that seem to be ready for it. Or it's like, okay, I haven't had anyone that has specifically said that they're showing up, but in general, we tend to have about 4 to 5 people that show up every week. So that's probably what you're looking at. You need someone that is actively doing that. Tip for you right now, do not get complacent in this. Do not be like, oh, this person runs every week. I don't need to check in with him. Do it. Be annoying about it. Not obtrusive, not stalking, but every whatever it is. You know, if you're playing every other week, then every other week with a significant enough amount of time before the event is supposed to happen, you should be checking in, going, hey, you're running on Tuesday, right? Yes, no. If they're not, you have enough time to come up with a backup or to prep things yourself. Again, being the person that's running things, you're probably going to be actually running games. But that act of checking in and specifically saying, hey, by the way, just a reminder, you're running. I just want to get a confirmation from you, and force them to confirm. Don't just send an email out going, hey, reminder, the game is happening. That breeds complacency. Force them to actively tell you, yes, I'm planning on running. I do this with my players every single week. On Sundays, I will send everybody that plays in my games, every single one, I will send them a group message through Discord, because that's where I organize all this stuff now. Hey, I'm planning on running the game on Saturday, on Wednesday, on whenever it is. Who can play? And I tell them flat out, I don't care if you're there every single week. I don't care if you've told me 1,000 times. You will always be there. Every single week, I need you to confirm. And if you do not confirm, I'm going to assume you're not going to be there. And we'll make plans accordingly. And if there's not enough people to play, we just won't play. So I need everybody to confirm. Get them in the practice of, okay, they reminded me, I confirmed with them. This will fix so many problems. Trust me on this. Complacency breeds death in groups like this. So as the organizer, you need to make sure that you have everything you need to run. And that's not always, a lot of times, most of the time probably, it's going to be making sure there's enough GMs for the players. That's not always a thing. If you realize that you only have 2 people coming to the game that night, then you can go, okay, I'm going to build a character and I'm going to play so we have enough so that we can actually play. The purpose of the organizer is to ensure that the games run. So they should be ready to GM if they need to. They should be ready to play if they need to. If they can, obviously. And by having a specific person that is designated for this, it removes, again, a lot of the ambiguity. The reason that my streaming buddy, his group died, was I ran it, I think, for like 6 or 8 months. I think they only played like 3 or 4 sessions in that time because it was around the holidays and all this other stuff. And then for the new year, I said, hey, I've set you guys up. You guys have everything you need. Here are all the adventures. We'll talk about adventures in a second. Here are all the adventures. Um, um, and these are the nights that you play. We have Wednesdays and we have Saturdays. So I'm going to let you guys start running it. So you run your games. Just understand we have those 2 time slots and they need to be filled on a regular basis. And I told them everything about, you guys need to advertise your games. You need to announce it at least 2 weeks in advance, all this other stuff. Like I told them all that, but I didn't leave anyone in charge. I just said, well, you guys can do this now. And not another game was played. I ran a game like 3 or 4 months later to try and get things started again. And it was like I was starting a brand new project again. The momentum had just died and no one wanted to play anymore. And it upset me. It really, really did. But it was effectively my fault. I did not put someone in place to actually run the damn thing. So this is a very essential thing. Just that little extra bit of structure makes a world of difference. So yeah, have someone that their entire job in this whole thing is just to ensure that, yes, we have enough GMs to run. We have a GM that has a game prepped for this particular time. And we have the possibility of players showing up, if not actually confirmed players. Anytime you can get a confirmation, it is significantly better than just saying, well, you're always welcome. So if you can get people to confirm, what I used to do for this group, it did everything through Discord, is they would post a description of the game that they were going to run, and they'd create it as a thread, and then anyone that wanted to play in that game would have to reply to that thread. And if not enough people replied to the thread, specifically saying, hey, I'm in, then the game wouldn't run. And that got people to actually confirm and got people to play. It was very effective. We'll talk about Discords in a second here. But yeah, that's what the organizer should be doing. And again, if you're watching this going, man, I want to start my own group, that organizer is probably going to be you. I know it may seem like a lot of work. The initial setup is where the real work is. Once everything's set up, these programs run remarkably smooth. And as they gain momentum, you can start delegating things off of your plate, as long as there's always somebody in charge. Once your group gets big enough, you can start adding other things, like maybe moderators to deal with problematic behavior, or a liaison to the store. So you have someone that specifically, like, their job is to just check in with the store and go, hey, by the way, we're playing on Wednesday. Is there anything we need to know? This is especially useful during holiday season because store hours will change seemingly randomly. So having someone who's a liaison for like an in-store or in-group thing. Or again, if you're playing in a more public place, like libraries are really, really great for stuff like this. Again, talk to the librarians, talk to the people, and having someone whose job it is to kind of liaise with the library to go, hey, by the way, are there any changes to the hours or anything like that? We're planning on playing on this day. Stuff like that is really, really useful. Is it necessary when you're first starting up? No. But as the group gets bigger, you can start looking for people that would like a little bit more leadership opportunities. It also means if you have other people doing things in an administrative point, then you yourself can take a step back every so often to take some rest, to just be a player, and then come back after you've had a little bit of rest. But all that's kind of future talk. Right now, you need someone running the damn thing. So, yeah. Moving on. I think this is 6, right? 6. The 6th thing, you need something to play. And this is where things can start getting interesting. Once you choose your system, which might have happened right at, will probably happen right at step one, where you're finding interest. Part of finding that interest is probably telling them, yeah, we're probably going to play this system. If you can get people in just, if you can get enough people interested by just saying we're going to play TTRPGs, then you might not have to deal with what system you're using until this step 6. But, yeah, brain just went bye-bye. But you do eventually need to pick a system. And in addition to that, you need some kind of rule for adventures. I'm going to tell you this right now. D&D clubs, TTRPG clubs, they thrive on one-shots. They thrive on shorter things. They don't actually have to only happen in a single thing. Because again, most one-shots are written for a 4-hour session. And depending on where you're playing, you might not be able to play for a full 4 hours. Or your players might be a little more role-play focused than other groups. And it might take them 5 hours to get through a 4-hour session. Or you might have another group that's able to get through a 4-hour session in 2.5 hours because they're very dedicated and focused. So I'm not saying that you exclusively have to play or every single session has to be completely self-contained. No, you can have adventures that go for multiple sessions, but playing full-on campaigns generally does not work well for a club situation. You want self-contained adventures. Luckily, most TTRPGs have pre-written adventures. The Essence 20 stuff. One of the reasons a lot of you people watch this channel, Essence 20 stuff has an entire kind of subgenre thing of they have an organized play program that the name of it is escaping me right now. But they have an organized play program that has officially written adventures that you can run, that are designed to be run at conventions and things like that. If you're doing D&D, the D&D Adventures League has existed as long as 5th edition has. There are literally dozens upon dozens of one-shot adventures that range everywhere from little 2-hour adventures all the way up to 8-hour adventures. They even have these things called epics, which are multi-table adventures, where you have like anywhere between 4 and 16 tables all working together for a common goal. It's super cool, interesting stuff, but there's just so much that exists there. Same thing is true with Pathfinder, Pathfinder Society. That's what the damn thing is called. Pathfinder Society exists. For Shadowrun, they have Shadowrun missions. Daggerheart is currently working on something. I think Perkins is the one that's working on stuff like that. Fabula Ultima has been fighting against that since its inception, but it's starting to possibly become a thing. Draw Steel with Crack the Sun, they have a bunch of shorter adventures that will be coming out as part of that. There's also Dalian's Tomb. So there are, and most TTRPGs will have an introductory adventure that will generally be good enough for at least your first couple sessions. However, what if you're playing Fabula Ultima and you don't have, like they do have the press start adventure, and I think they have a continue adventure as well. But what if you are playing one that just doesn't have, or you've already run that? What do we do now? Well, that's when we come up for rules with how adventures work. In the D&D Adventures League, writing an adventure was remarkably straightforward. Basically, to write an adventure, you were allowed to have one permanent magic item in there somewhere. And there was specific subject matter you were allowed to use and specific subject matter you were not allowed to use. And that was really, and then, again, it had to be balanced for these particular people. The Adventures League had a significantly more complicated process for getting things through because it's organized and it's corporate. For your own little thing, this is simply as easy as going, okay, these are going to be our guidelines. again, put some guidelines in there for magic or special items or whatever you want to call them, because what invariably can happen is you can have one GM that just doesn't give out magic items, then another GM that gives them out like candy. And what that effectively turns into is there will be, anytime somebody comes from that GM's table to this one, they're going to feel massively overpowered compared to everybody else. So just specifically putting there, okay, for every 4-hour adventure that you write, we're only going to have one magic item or two magic items. However you want to do it, it depends on how prominent they are in your TTRPG. That you'll have to figure out. And then some other guidelines are always useful. Things like, okay, then, the majority of the encounters should be, standard encounters is according to the rules in this way, or, just some basic guidelines of mechanical things. Another thing, since this is going to be a shared thing, putting an experience limit or a leveling limit to specifically to say, yeah, we're going to say that anytime you run an adventure, your players will gain this much experience or get this much closer to a level, depending on how the system treats experience. And again, all this is doing is leveling the playing field. It doesn't mean that, oh, I have an XP budget and that means I cannot go over it. No. Let the GMs design the encounters the way that they want, but say at the end of the adventure, if you earned more than this, we just cap it off at that because that's how we do this. And it'll eventually balance out itself. The same thing is true about gold rewards or monetary rewards. Put a limit on, for this tier, this is the maximum amount that you can find in the adventure. Doesn't mean that everybody that plays the adventure gets that exact amount. Let the players find it, but just understand there is a maximum. And let the players be aware of that as well. They will figure it out very, very quickly, even if you don't tell them. So there's no reason to keep it a secret. But having those little guidelines of, okay, in, adventures for this tier of adventuring, we don't use monsters higher than this difficulty rating, or there's only allowed one permanent magic items and the players get to roll for it at the end. Things like that can make running the adventures significantly more simple. And it also creates a very even playing field. It means when a player does miss a night, they don't feel like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to catch up. Because they know exactly what's going to happen. Beyond that, like I said, I generally tend to prefer running pre-written adventures. If you have talented enough GMs, they might just create their own pre-written adventures so that when you get new players, you can just go, oh, remember this one? We'll just play this adventure again because none of y'all have ever played it before. Getting adventures. If you want to run like a campaign, like, do I have any? No, all of them are in the places they're supposed to be in my bookshelf. If you want to run a campaign or something like that, like you want to run stuff from Curse of Strahd, or you want to run one of the adventures that goes with one of the books, like the Across Time book had this time adventure, then you need to, most adventures are going to be broken up into chapters and things like that. You need to break it up into effectively one-shots or little mini versions of it, and go, okay, well, we're only running this part. And again, you can kind of figure out how to break it up because that's how it's expected to run. If there aren't like individual one-shots that already exist, there's a good chance you can take bigger adventures and then break them into smaller parts, or have the GMs make their own stuff. Again, for a starting group, it's generally better to start with pre-written stuff, especially if you have brand new GMs that don't know how to create adventures, especially how to create adventures for a club type situation, because prepping for a club is very different than prepping for a home game. It's just how it works. So do your best, at least at the start, to find a system that already has a few one-shots, so you can get a few of those under your belt, get an idea about how the one-shots feel, and then you can start writing your own stuff. Yeah. Moving on. For the most part, that should give you everything you need to start up one of these groups. Obviously, there's going to be things that I didn't talk about here, but if you follow those you follow those guidelines, I will guarantee you you will have a significantly better chance of a group starting up and working. Now, does that mean that it can't fail as long as you use my things? It'll never fail. Absolutely not. Again, I tried doing this. I made one mistake, and that group does not play at all anymore. Everyone's still friends. It's not like no one talked to each other. Nope. Everybody's still friends. We all still watch the same streamer. We just don't play together because, you know, it didn't work. I'd love to get that group started again. It's just taking time. Yeah. Anyway, interested to hear from you guys. First of all, do we have any veterans of the club space? Did you help run, or did you participate in like a friendly local game store thing? Are you a convention rat like I used to be? Did you have a D&D group at school or at your local library or something like that? Let me know in the comments down below. And do you think I missed mentioning anything? Is there an essential part of running a D&D club or a TTRPG club that I've completely forgotten? Again, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, it's going to be all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.